Hi, I'm Mark McPherson and welcome to my 52 blogs in 52 weeks, with each blog being about one of my 52 types of people who are poorly behaved and at times downright difficult. This week I'm presenting by video, just for a change. And this week we're talking about a delightful character, number 48 in my series, called the Sidetracker. Now, let's get this straight. We all sidetrack people from time to time when we don't really want to talk about whatever they're talking about. But the sidetracker I'm talking about is a very different kettle of fish. These people are out to manipulate us and to control us. It's very different to the way we operate. So let's just have an example. We're sometimes 15 minutes into a conversation and we're saying, why? How come we're talking about this? This isn't what I want to talk about. And you have to backtrack and get yourself back onto the path you should be on. An example of this would be, let's say we've got a staff member who was to give us a report yesterday at 2 p.m. and here we are today and the report isn't done. So we're having a conversation with them about this, and suddenly we realise we're off talking about the photocopier, staff meetings or whatever it happens to be, and we need to get them back on track. Now I have a script for that. I call it the anatomical script, and if you'd like to know more about that, please contact me. But there's times we need to get these people back on track by saying, using their name, or sorry, whatever it happens to be, John, because sometimes you sort of got to say it more than once to get them back on track. And then you can talk about the fact that they were going to hand in a report at 2 p.m. yesterday, it's not due, etc. But you've got to take control of these conversations, and it's important. Not unfairly, not rudely, but you do need to take control. Now the second type of these conversations where the sidetracker gets involved is when you have an opportunity to nip it in the bud before you go down that path. So here's an example. We're having some building work done at our place, and the builders next door had done some damage to our property. Now, I have a standard of behaviour, that is, you don't do damage to people's property, but if you do, you go and tell them about it and apologise and pay for the repairs. But anyway, I went out to speak to the building's site manager. His name was Warren, and as I got up close to Warren, he does this to me. Hi Mark, saw your wife yesterday. Whoa, lucky man. Hey, how long have you been married? That's a sidetrack. I reckon he knew exactly what I needed to talk about, and he wanted to take me down some other path. Now, this isn't one where you have to backtrack. Here's one where you can actually not go down that path at all. Now, in this situation, what I did was simply ignore it. I simply said, Warren, what I need to talk to you about is the damage that's been done to our property, and that was the conversation. See, as soon as you say something like, oh look, I'm not going to talk about that now, you really are already talking about it. It's best to simply ignore it if you can. Now, it gets even more complicated because there's two more issues we need to talk about. And one of those is whether the person really needs to listen or not. Or whether you can get away with just saying the words. Now, let me give an example. Let's get back to our person who hasn't handed in the report on time. You really have to get them to listen to you so you can tell them what you need to tell them. But there are other occasions when you don't really have to worry about whether they took it on board or not. And let me give you an example of that one. A friend of mine is in customer service, phone customer service, and sometimes people are abusive. So what's important for her and the benefit of the recording is that she actually says something like, Mr. Jones, that's the third time you've sworn at me, you've used the F word or whatever it happens to be. I need to warn you that if you continue to use bad language and swear at me, I will terminate the call. Now, interestingly enough, in that particular situation, it doesn't really matter whether you think they took it on board or not. What the tape is interested in is what supervisors are interested in. Did you actually say the words? So, let's just recap. Sidetrackers actually take us down paths which we really shouldn't go, because there are times when the clever sidetracker will never let us recover. However, We all do a bit of sidetracking in our life, that's true, but the sidetracker, very different kettle of fish. Sometimes we're in a conversation, we need to backtrack and take control of it and talk about what we need to talk about. But there's other occasions where we can simply nip it in the bud, ignore their sidetrack and get on with the business. And on top of that, the issue is, do we really need to get them to pay attention to the words? Or is it a situation where we can simply forge ahead, say what we need to say, so it's recorded either by a proper recording or other people have heard it. Anyway, that's enough of the sidetracker, that's enough of the video. If you want to talk about this stuff, please give us a call. On my website, for example, and you'll even find it on the blog, how to contact me. Book yourself in for a call and let's have a chat. Now, whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a great time. Have a great day and all the very, very best to you.